just keep going, like just persevere, as they say.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel. I am Rafaela, and I'm here today with a special guest. We have ads.
Hi everyone, I'm glad to be here on Rafaela's channel.
Yeah.
It's fantastic to be here, and yeah, looking forward to getting going, I guess.
I'm so excited. So hi guys, this is my friend Ad. So we have known each other since like 2017.
Was it something? Yeah.
Yeah, randomly met on the streets.
Oh.
Since then, do I tell the story? Let me know. I hate me telling this story. That story is so funny.
Listen,
you know what?
This story is not verified, so I think we should just leave it.
The story is very much so verified.
Verified.
It's definitely verified as to how we met. But since then we had each other on like Snapchat. Then we kept talking about like Africa, like speaking French, etc. And then our friendship has like blossomed since. Like this is one of my favorite people, like my closest friends ever. And Ads has been so instrumental in my, career progression and in, the improvement in my application quality. If it wasn't for him, honestly, I don't know how I would have done. As a result of your help, had 3 interviews with the civil service, got a job offer with the civil service. So we're going to talk about all of that today. But prior to getting started, first, viewers, please feel free to get comfortable. And as to make you feel a bit more relaxed, we're gonna play a game.
Okay, cool.
So the game is going to be first thing that comes to your head, you just answer.
Okay.
Ready? All right. Bananas or pineapple?
Pineapple.
Love or money?
Money.
Don't think about it. What's the best book you've ever read in your life?
The 4-hour work week.
Pizza or French fries?
Pizza.
Which are cuter, elephants or pandas?
Pandas.
What would people say is your best quality?
Ooh. I'm calm.
Manchester United or Paris Saint-Germain?
United, obviously.
What's the most important skill needed for an economist?
Grass.
Chocolate cake or Victoria sponge cake?
Victoria.
Gap year or straight to uni?
Straight to uni.
Would you rather have the gift of pausing time or fast forwarding time?
Pausing.
All right, there we go. Are you feeling relaxed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good questions.
Thank you.
Good questions.
But yes,
Cool.
So thank you for being on the channel. So as you know, this is the graduate series. Yeah. So we will be, my vision behind obviously the series is to just invite a bunch of different like graduates and young professionals to come and talk about their experiences getting into their field and to advise anyone out there, especially based on your experience and your mistakes, etc.
Cool.
So I suppose to start with, would you mind introducing yourself? Although I feel like I did well with introducing you, no, but just
amazing introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. I'm an economist, so I work for a public sector organisation. I don't know if I should break it down anymore, but I think I can stop there. I've worked across different public sector organisations, and I mainly work in public policy. A lot of my work sort of affects competition and economics around financial services.
Mm-hmm.
And how the financial sector operates. So that's my main sort of role. And that's what I do. I mean, I've been in the field of economics for probably about 10 years if you include like the time that I've studied as well.
Oh wow.
I did A-level economics like I think 10 years ago now, and then from there I've always been in economics, whether it's like a degree or working in it. So yeah, I'm definitely passionate about it.
So I suppose you kind of answered one of my questions, which was what you studied at A levels. Yeah. What other subjects did you do?
So A levels was a bit of a random one. I mean, like, so I did biology as well.
Did you?
Yeah. I also was planning to do maths, but I ended up having to drop that, which was a bit of a mistake. We'll come on to that after. And then I also did government and politics.
Oh.
Yeah. I did government and politics and psychology as well.
Did you?
That was my last.
That's a nice little mixture, but very science based though.
Yeah, very science based. I was actually like, science was probably one of my stronger subjects at school, but I obviously dropped that when I went to university.
Yeah. And then you kind of touched upon it, but so you said economics was always a passion, and that's kind of what inspired your educational routes when you went to uni.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those when you're quite young, you're not sure what to do, and I had economics always opens up good options.
Yeah.
And then when I went to a lot of careers events or done a bit of research into careers, economics was always something that was spoke highly of.
Yeah.
And I went to a few events and I felt I was feeling it. So just ran with it really.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, whereas I really just stayed very far away from that. I thought economics involved loads of maths, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
So that was a bit that was my sort of issue, because basically I dropped maths, and then I went to university without maths, and I was like, oh, okay, I actually need maths. And I got into my degree and I was like, wait, I'm basically doing a maths degree, to be honest. That's how it felt at times. So it was a bit of a mistake, but then over the course of my first year I spent a lot of time trying to catch up, and even in my second year I really struggled with the maths, but I feel like I got there in the end just in time.
What what helped you get there in the end?
Using a lot of my sort of classmates who are very good at maths. Some of them were just they would just rip through maths, it was so easy to them. So I'd ask a lot of them, how do you approach this? How do you approach this problem? How do you approach calculus? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And a lot of them broke it down for me, so it was great. It was great for me to pick up maths.
Yeah.
And also I found YouTube videos very helpful.
Of course.
So that was actually my breakthrough, because I mean it's very hard to look at a lecture and think, follow it step by step. But with YouTube videos, it really breaks it down, and they're doing it in front of you, and you can always pause it, go back,
That's true.
And that's how I sort of caught on with it. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. But I completely agree with you. Some days, if I don't necessarily understand something, that YouTube is literally the best tool.
Yeah.
But yes, also prior to the interview, I went to stalk your LinkedIn a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I saw that you were an ambassador for the Department of Economics at your university.
Yeah.
I never even knew that was a thing. How did you get into that, and what did that role entail? And is this something that you would recommend to other economics students out there?
Yeah, I mean, it was basically just a role that I picked up on the side of my master's degree. So my department, asked me if I was willing to sort of help out at public events, or department events that they had, so do some public speaking.
Yeah.
And just kind of just play an sort of ambassadorial role for the Department of Economics, but from a student perspective. Something I enjoyed doing. I mean, it didn't take up too much time. It was just events here and there, like I say, UCAS Open Days or Department of Economic Open Days, for example, or just talking to a local school about what it's like studying economics, or speaking to A-level students about how the course is, just those things. And I also got paid for it. So
did you?
Yeah, that was good.
So it's a proper role.
Yeah, I mean it was a part-time role. It was more on a sort of temporary 0-hour contract basis, but Yeah.
Still really good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to do on the side.
And actually, to build from that, so would you say that it's like quite important to have work experience once you finish uni, especially to go into economics? Because obviously, with all sectors, they do want to see your work experience.
Yeah.
But would you say that's especially vital in your field? And also, what would you recommend other students to do to get like relevant work experience?
Yeah, I mean it's quite hard because like economics is one of those where you need to have the technical skills to obviously get into the field, but then also you need to have those soft skills or like transferable skills. So anything that's sort of outside the box, or any sort of opportunity that you feel can help you develop those skills, I'll definitely encourage. So even if it's not like as corporate as you might think you need it to be, just give it a go. Even like, so something like being an economics ambassador, it just shows that I've got a bit of passion for economics, but then it also helped me to do some like public speaking on the side, or like develop those skills and show that I can interact with people. And I think that's that's sometimes all employers are looking for. Of course, everyone would like to have like an internship or a summer placement or even a year in industry. But if you haven't got those, or even if you have got those, I think these things on the side are good to add to your CV as well. So,
Okay, thank you. And so whilst looking again on your LinkedIn, I saw that you have quite a few publications, and it's so fascinating because I obviously a lot of what I wanted to go into is very research based, and I've always been a big scholar, and so I'm very ashamed to say that I honestly always wondered how people went on to like publish their publications, their papers, etc. Like, how did you do it? And then where did you publish them? Is there something specifically targeted at economists?
It's usually on the organisation's website, so on the employer's website. I mean, a lot of them will have their own publication page.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're public facing bodies, especially the ONS, they're someone who puts a lot of information out there, so they've got a platform specifically for publication.
But so you'd say that also distinguishes you a little bit more as a candidate when you do those things, because it shows, as you said, your love for economics puts you out there a little bit, shows more your skills.
I think it's a bit easier to sort of showcase your ability or the work you've done, maybe. So like when you apply for new jobs, it's always easier if you have like a link to a publication, so they can say, actually, this is the type of analysis he's been working on, this is what he's done. It's always easier to do that than having to sort of explain what you did and they can't see it, etc.
Of course.
So I mean, it's just one of the perks, but I mean there is a lot of great work that also gets done that is not published, so
that's
I
true.
wouldn't discriminate, I guess.
Tell that to the employers.
Yeah, it gets like that.
Okay, and then so in terms of like work experience for young graduates, where would you advise people to like look for that? Are there specific like agencies? Are there specific organizations that can assist with that? Or you think just mainly as you're doing your degree whilst in university as your like employment hub?
Yeah, I mean, like the great thing about university and just like the whole experience of like going to university is you get introduced to lots of different people. So I mean, like my university had their own employability sort of support network, so you can always like that was the first sort of area, but then like from their advice I managed to do a lot of things like build my network on LinkedIn, go to a lot of careers events, and that's what sort of helps me to get my foot in the door, I guess.
Okay. And then are there like any, so like with like banking, some certain banks, like you have like KPMG, JP Morgan's, etc. Like some certain companies, whether it's banking or finance, they always do like summer schemes, graduate schemes, even the civil service. Are those things that people should look for?
100%. I mean, I like, to be honest, I didn't do one myself.
Okay.
And it's hugely competitive. So
It's so competitive.
and it's also another challenge is that it's also going on whilst you're studying. So what you have to do is like balance your time around your studying and your exams and your coursework assignments, all of that, to do a good enough application to get onto one of those schemes. And if you do land it, I mean, it's absolutely perfect because I think those who have an internship or placement, they're almost like guaranteed to have a job after.
Yeah.
But if not, it means you'll have to do some extra digging in your last year to get a job, or you'll have to probably put a lot more practice into how you're going to sell yourself as someone who doesn't have experience.
Yeah.
And that can come from just basically using the right application techniques and being able to like use other opportunities that maybe are a bit more outside the box. That can also show you've got good skills.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the way around that, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Got a placement or internship.
Yeah. But ideally, guys, try and do not get disheartened if you don't get it, because honestly, they are so competitive, and there are way too many people applying.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing as well.
And also, another thing is, I think you've got to be performing well in your first and second year. And if you're one of those students who, wanted to turn up in your first year and didn't really take it seriously, you're going to find it quite difficult to have like a good set of grades to submit on your application. So
because sometimes they ask for your predicted, isn't it?
Either your predicted grades or your first and second year grades.
They ask for your first year grade?
Yeah, for some application process. Yeah, for sure. Because I know even in the civil service, when you apply, they'll ask for your first and second year modules and how you performed in them. So that's like...
But then, so people lie. People told you go to uni, your first year doesn't count. You can get 40%.
No, obviously it doesn't count in the context of your degree, but it counts in the wider context of employment. I mean, it doesn't really count once you've completed your degree. Everyone forgets about it.
But then...
if you're in your degree and you're trying to find a job, and people say, okay, like they'll go off your A levels to start with. A lot of people used to do that, but I think employers are moving away from that anyway. And then the next thing they've got to go off is your first and second year grades. So obviously, if that's not great, that's just an easy way for them to sort of
dismiss you, especially if there are other people out there who are performing to that level.
Exactly. I don't think it's the fairest way, because there's a lot of students that obviously do really well, but and their first and second year is not like a good indicator of their achievement.
Absolutely.
But
I agree, especially because like if you go from being in school to being in university, I think like the standard of work is completely different, the expectations are different. I think like when I was in school personally, I know that you didn't have to study much, but you still got good grades. You can't do that in uni.
If you did that in my course, I mean, a lot of people would tell you just end up with like a very disrespectful score in one of your modules, and you're like, what is this? And it's like it will actually count as well. So you couldn't really take your foot off the gas, and even when you didn't, like even if you like blew your back out, like just to get to a decent level, you still wasn't sort of guaranteed to get a first or 2-1. Some people would say, like, how much I put into that module, I only got like 62 or even 55. You know what I'm saying? But you have to fight for literally every point or score or whatever. And there'll be some where you just be like, you just have to write off that module and move on to the next one. So exactly. That's how it was for me. I mean, there's some people that actually just go to uni and they're fully focused on the whole 3 years. And they come out with, like consistent grades for it, and that's great. And it's less stressful as well.
And then the rest of us...
It can be a roller coaster. It can be.
Exactly.
Sure.
But you live and you learn. That's what matters more than anything. Okay, so to go back to what you even said about application. So as I said in the beginning, ads honestly was extremely helpful when it came to my applications, especially within the civil service, because I believe that you had once been part of the interview, the recruitment panel.
I was part of, so I used to help a lot of students to pass the recruitment panels, and yeah, I was on a recruitment panel for one piece of recruitment. So yeah, that gave me a good
lot of
insight.
insights. Yeah. Because I remember like he helped me out, because obviously with a lot of like the civil service you have your competency based questions, etc. And I even remember one day, honestly, I wanted to fight you because you were like, this is not how you answer, and I was like, you were like, this is not a good example, and I was like, what example do you want me to put, especially because I felt like I had quite like limited work experience. But honestly, like, you pushing, and I used to literally get so annoyed because my mom would also do this. She'd be like, this is not good. What do you want me to do? And one day I even was to ask, like, you just write the answer then, because I don't know what you want me to do.
This is crazy.
I was so annoyed. But anyways, like, he kept pushing and pushing. He knew, I suppose, the level that I could get to, and so he was like, no, you can do it. He was even to me like, I'm not writing it for you, you're writing it. But anyway, so you helped me. So obviously that made a huge difference, because sometimes in your civil service like job applications, they will also score your answers. And I've been doing quite well. So I wanted to now turn the conversation to talk more about civil service and applications generally speaking.
Cool.
If that's okay with you. So first and foremost, from obviously your experience of what you've seen and you having been part of the panel, etc., what, in your opinion, are key mistakes that people make in interviews or applications?
Okay.
So be it with the civil service or any other organizations, what are key mistakes that you've identified?
Okay. You probably know this one, like, and I don't think you made this mistake anyway. But like a lot of people, they'll be writing their answers, or even in the interview, they'll be saying like, I worked on a project and we did this and we done that, and we achieved this, and then the interviewer will just go, but what did you do? And like, that's like a major like red flag in an interview when you're talking about we and you're not really emphasizing on your specific steps.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a major mistake. That's the first one that comes to mind. Then I think another thing is this is a key one as well, and I don't think people like really grasp how to do this. And it's to show not tell. So like, anyone can say I've got excellent leadership skills, or I showed tremendous leadership skills, but as an interviewer that doesn't help. Or as someone who's reviewing your applicant, that doesn't help at all. It's just a statement, and what they're looking for is evidence. So yeah. So
drill that in my head.
So for example, if you can say 4 things that you actually did, and not say I've got good leadership, but just say I did these 4 things, and these things actually show that you've got good leadership, then they'll be much more impressed by than you just saying I've got great leadership skills. Because if you're talking about like how great you are at communicating with your team, or if you're like talking about how you're good with collaborating with your team as well and taking everyone's ideas into account, or if you're talking about how organized you are with your team, these are qualities that can really show that you have leadership. And so they'll look at these things and they think, oh, okay, like that's some evidence of their leadership skills. And if you give specific examples, they'll be thinking, okay, like this guy must have good leadership, or this guy has showed some good leadership. And they can't really argue with that. Whereas if you just give a lot of statements, then there's not really much to go off. So that's why I say show not tell. It's best to use the statistic, because you can't really argue with stats. Or use like examples or concrete like actions that you did that actually show you have the skill. And like with any competency or with any sort of interview question, as long as you cover a few things, they're pretty confident that you've got the skill. So if it's to do with managing your workload, then as long as you talk about planning, as long as you talk about organisation, as long as you talk about flexibility, and working under pressure. Like those are like 4 things. As long as you cover those and you give actions and evidence of you doing that, then they can't really fault you. So that's why I would say definitely show not tell.
Exactly. And just to go back, I said I whispered star. So what ads was telling me and what I've seen is situation, task, action, result. So that's what he means by show not tell. So this was the situation, the task, my action, so what exactly I did, the result, and then you bring back in whatever it is they're looking for. So if it was leadership, you'd bring that back in. Yeah. But yeah, so he literally drilled this in my head. He would be like, you're still telling us, you're not showing us. And I was like, oh.
I mean, it's very hard to do.
It's so hard,
Really practice and practice and practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, the only reason I had that sort of experience of knowing how to do it is because I did so many applications.
Yeah.
So definitely not easy.
And it does make sense ultimately because it's almost like when you're in university and you're writing your essays, and obviously the professor has given you the title and you're writing it, but they always tell you to write it as if the person who's reading it has no idea of the concept or whatever it is that you're talking about, and you're like, well, that's stupid because you're the professor, so you know. So it's kind of like the same here, where it's like you're telling them I'm a good leader. They weren't there when you were leading something, so how are they meant to know? Yeah. So it does make sense, and it literally makes a world of difference. So I recommend. And I suppose in a way you kind of answered. So what would be your principal tips or advice then for interviews or applications? So it kind of links in together. But do you have any additional ones?
So I mean, generally for applications, I would say. Just understand like what it is you want to get into, and understand what is the typical skills you need for that field first of all, and then try and fill in the gaps where necessary. So if you know you want to be an economist, you kind of need to be decent with Excel and certain things like that. You need to have some sort of coding experience, etc. Like you don't need to be the best coder, for example, but you need to, have some sort of, willingness to pick that up, or some sort of, background knowledge, for example. So I'd say, just do some background research and try and get some of those skills and close the gaps there. But then also, you need to kind of have at least some sort of passion for the subject or know how to at least portray it for the field that you want to get into. Yeah. Because it will really show in your interviews. So like when people ask the typical question, why do you want to work here? Or, what is it that interests you in this role? It really shows to interviewers like how passionate you are, so you can't really hide. So I would say always, don't just apply to any job that's out there or any opportunity. Or you see a salary, you're like, oh, let me just jump on this. Because it will show in the quality of your applications if you're not really feeling it and you're just applying for the money, or you're just applying because you need an opportunity. So try and find something where you feel like, actually this is a quality role, I like this role, and then do some background research into the role to make sure you're covering all the things they'd want in a candidate. Yeah.
But, sorry, I have a question actually because of that. So from what I'm hearing, I'm obviously hearing, see how your skills match the job specification. Yeah. And I'm hearing do lots of research. But I remember there was once when I applied for a civil service job, when I saw the job specification and I was really like, ads, I don't think I can do this. And you were like, don't be detailed by the wording, because these are all things that you actually can do. How can you differentiate between what it is that you can do and what you can't? Because although, for example, the essential criteria that they were looking for were all skills that I had, in terms of the responsibilities that were listed, I was like, I don't think I've ever done anything like this.
Yeah. So, I mean, the criteria, so you kind of do need to meet the criteria, at least should have some sort of confidence that you will be able to meet the criteria when you're applying. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't think you would have much of a chance. But as for things like the responsibilities, that's something for you to worry about later down the line when you're in the actual role.
Yeah.
And knowing, I mean, you can have all the skills and still not have the experience in carrying out those responsibilities.
Exactly.
And still do it really well. So don't be put off if you feel like the responsibilities are not something you've done before. Not everyone is, going to be in a position where they've done everything before.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you just need to prove that you have the skills to take on the challenge. So yeah, don't be put off by that at all.
Thank you. So thank you for this segment of the chat. So we're soon going to wrap up. But to draw it back to your role. Yeah. So what is it that you love the most about your role?
I think it's the fact that it's connected to policy. So it will actually filter out into real life rules and regulations, or policies that will affect the day-to-day. That's something I take great satisfaction from. That's probably one of the positives about my role. But then also I think the work environment and the people are great as well, the people I work with, so that's something that I'm grateful for.
Okay, Thank you. And do you think that further education, so a master's or PhD, is vital?
So I think a master's is becoming increasingly important, and a PhD is good to have, but not massively important. I think the more you progress in the field of economics, the more they expect you to have a master's.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I think it all depends on what you're gonna do. So if you're becoming an accountant, for example, it's better to just go and do your professional qualification in accounting. Rather than do a master's or MSc.
Okay.
Or if you're there's another one called the CFA, so it's a professional finance course for a lot of people that work in financial services. And apparently it's extremely hard. It's very hard to pass. But it's very well looked on. Employers like that. So that's another option if you don't want to go into economics, but you're planning to do further study. So yeah.
Okay. And so this brings us to the end of the video. So my last question, which I obviously ask everyone that comes on, is what would you say to young graduates out there that are currently despairing a little bit whilst getting into their field?
Just keep going, just persevere, as they say.
Sorry guys, private joke.
But it's always a very hard sort of roller coaster when you are trying to enter your field and you're questioning yourself, am I good enough, have I got the skills, can I do it? But all you can do is just sort of keep working at it, get better and better at your applications and work on how you sort of sell yourself and how you come across in interviews, etc. And then eventually there will be the right opportunity. It will feel quite hard because you'll be looking at some opportunities and they might not be the best opportunity, but they still sort of turn you down and you're thinking, if I can't get this job, what job am I going to get? But I think if you keep going, you'll get to a point where you just look back and you think, this was all sort of meant to happen. And it was part of the process or part of your progression. So definitely take every part of it as a positive. So that would be my general advice.
Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of the video.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Cool, no worries.
Also, as he's so humble, he recently got promoted, so we love to see it. On to greater things. But I hope this helped someone out there. If it did, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to the channel. There is a new graduate series every single Wednesday, and there's a new video that comes out at some point during the week, which is just a vlog or a different content video. But yes, I'm not going to keep you all here too long. Thanks for tuning in today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.